Hi, everyone. Welcome to Milk and Honey with Reason and Elijah. This is our time after we put our son Raphael to bed, where we chat, we hang out, and we just talk about our day and just some of the testimonies and things that have happened to us throughout the day. My name is Elijah Patel. I'm from the US, and this is my wife.
Riza Patel. I'm from Kazakhstan.
And we met, well, do you want to tell it? We met like 12 years ago, and we've been married now for 10 years. We've got a lot of just adventures together, adventures with the Lord. We're both Christian. And so we're just going to invite you into some of our conversations.
That's
Okay,
good.
Reese, what are we talking about today?
Okay, we are talking about interracial marriage.
If someone comes up to you and says, and asks you, like, oh, like, or they mention, like, you're in an interracial marriage, what does that mean to you?
Well, now it doesn't mean anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even notice that you look different or we speak different languages. Like
Hmm.
you speak my language, I speak your language. Our son is, I want to say bilingual, but
Which language do
yes,
you speak?
speak Russian.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say like it doesn't mean anything for me,
Hmm.
but we definitely like had to face a lot of interesting things um,
No.
that we were not aware of. It didn't matter for us when we met. It still doesn't matter, but for people around us, it mattered. The
Yeah.
only reason we got together and we got married, and it's because we both love Jesus.
Hmm.
And I've been always praying that, Lord, I want someone who puts you first in their life and prioritize you and follows you. So, head of my house would be Jesus.
Yeah.
And that was my number one priority when we did the list with the girls from our
Hmm.
LG. And number one priority was always for me Christian, Jesus, head of the house. And the stuff as like racial, it was never even made my list, to be honest. I never mentioned like what ethnicity he should be, what language he should be speaking. Although I did have preference, not to not to date English speaker, like someone who like of another culture, or like who doesn't speaks another language. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just if you're doing it for that reason, absolutely go for it.
Hmm.
But just if you want to spice up your life, like it's it's not gonna be fun
Yeah.
as people think. Like, oh, it's gonna be so fun. It's not.
I want to just break it down. And let me also just say, like, I'm saying it like for other people as well. Of course, we know this, but like, we never think about us being of different races on like a day-to-day basis. It's like not a thought. Never think about it. Only if like someone else mentions it to us, I'm like, oh yeah, we're in an interracial marriage. But like on a day-to-day basis, it like never crosses my mind. And I would say in the last 10 years, like we'll literally only think about it if people, like obviously outside of our marriage, mention it to us. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. And I remember. But let me just first just break things down. So there's interracial marriage, but then there's also intercultural marriage, which
Mhm.
are not necessarily the same thing. Interracial marriage, like I'm using US definition, but like there's like a bunch of categories for race. There's like African
Mhm.
American, Asian American, or let's just say Asian African descent, um, white American. But then cultural, there are a ton of different cultures. So
Mhm.
like you can date someone from a different race, but maybe more similar cultures. But we're from both different races and different cultures.
Mhm.
And I think the race thing, you just never think about, or I never think about it. But the culture thing, that thing does come out from time to time. Like we are from different cultures. So uh, I wanted to look at my notes. Interracial is pretty much, I already defined it. Um, so I just feel like with that dynamic, again, different from intercultural, we had to walk away from, or at least from my end, I had to walk away from a lot of other relationships, from friends, from different family members as well. Intercultural, we'll talk about in a second, but there's certainly an element when you are in an interracial marriage, which, again, not something that we think about now, but I think there is this dynamic where, like, other people who, let's say, before you get married, other people who are like in your circle, they're not necessarily going to be in interracial relationships as well. And so
Mm-hmm.
for them, it's like a very big, like, it's a very big deal. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that they may not necessarily feel comfortable with. And so, yeah, it's kind of like they've got to accept it or not. And
Mm-hmm.
if they don't, then you, as the person in the relationship, have to make a decision.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in my culture, there is no such thing as race, but there's definitely ethnicity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, even if you're American, like my dad used to always tell me that Madonna is Italian. And I
Yeah.
grew up thinking that Madonna is from like Italy.
Mm-hmm,
Turns out she's American Italian. And I'm like, oh, she's just American Italian. She's not like from Italy. So, like, we have the, and he would talk about Madonna and, for example, Monica Bellucci, who's from Italy,
mm-hmm,
as like they are same people of like different, same ethnicity, same culture, but it's not the same. No, we know. I know that. So there's definitely a lot of stereotypes when it comes to ethnicity, and people jump into conclusions of what they know about certain ethnicity.
mm-hmm,
So when I met you, you were like Indian right away,
mm-hmm,
or like they would there was confusing, which was perfect because you were African American of like Caribbean descent, but also Indian, and people couldn't make up their mind. And I would always have to remind, like, he's just Christian, he's just Elijah, and that is enough. Yeah, I think that people were struggling to put you in like category. They
mm-hmm,
couldn't like think of you like, oh, this is like American that we watch in like Dallas show, for example,
mm-hmm.
or like, oh, this is African American, like the movies about African Americans that we watch, because you have that Indian dad element who's from India.
Yeah.
They couldn't like think of you as like Shakrukh Khan that we grew up watching, because you are from American and you look mixed race.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So they were like kind of confused, I feel like, but then they had to like get to know you and ask you questions and ask questions about you.
mm-hmm,
And I think the fact that you were mixed race, it was quite helpful. Like people couldn't like just jump into conclusions or like put you in a category of certain ethnicity.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
were American, yeah, but there's again like element of ethnicity. Mm, second, what was we talking about?
Walking away from people.
Oh, well, I didn't get to like walk away from people. I feel like on my end it was
Mm-hmm,
it was not as difficult, but I definitely ran into a lot of interesting comments.
mm-hmm,
Like some of my friends that you grew up together, you hang out, you party, you like go out and you think like, oh, we're best friends, like we get each other. And I started realizing that people with like similar background as I am,
mm-hmm,
they were nothing but supportive. Yeah, like I grew up in a family that was very open-minded.
mm-hmm,
We grew up in a city, or it was a capital of the country at the time.
mm-hmm,
Then of course the capital moved, but we got to see a lot of different, do you say delegates, delegations from different countries. We had guests who were from different countries, as like, I don't know, Japan and US, and like from different, from different countries. Then I started going to church from around I was 15. I get to
mm-hmm,
see a lot of foreigners who would like came from all over the world, like Colombia, Europe, and Asia, and US. And so yeah, we were quite open-minded because we had some exposure to like other life, but just Kazakhstan
Mm-hmm.
Also, all my aunties, my grandpa, they like studied abroad. All my cousins study abroad. They speak better English than me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they just didn't have that stereotypes, I guess, negative stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was easy. I think the fact that we got married, that we were dating,
Mm-hmm.
it's already says about the way I was raised,
Yeah.
because we were open-minded. We knew that certain words are offensive, that we never say these words. We were explained why it's bad. And yeah, also I myself learned English, started learning English with a lot of Nigerians
Mm-hmm.
and Ghanaians, because my dad wanted us to learn English with native speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our teachers were native speakers from Africa, and yeah, we just get to like hang out outside of the class. We would like run into each other, and they would be like, "Oh, they were much older than us, but they would like
Mm-hmm.
always try to like make us speak English, even if like, but what are you doing right now? What are you eating?" Like they were always like encouraging us to say something in English. And yeah, it was different. I left my First time I felt strange.
Mm-hmm.
I left my English class and I saw my teacher walking down the street, and I was like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Thompson." And he was like, "Oh, you're going this side." And we got to chat, and I caught on me like so many just angry eyes, from like
Mm-hmm.
older generation, like grandmas and like older men. And I was just a teenager, and those like men in his 30s, but they just assumed the worst, I guess. And like I felt really uncomfortable. I was like, wow, people never look at me like that. So that was my first experience. Like I already knew what's gonna be like. Um, yeah, what else?
Um,
Oh,
you
so
are
people.
also mixed race, right?
Yeah,
To some degree.
to some degree, yeah. My grandmother is from Caucasus,
Yeah.
which is the mountain of Caucasus, not U.S. Caucasian.
Yeah.
Um, so I myself, like, I grew up with Kazakh stepfather, with Kazakh mom, but I feel like my parents always consider the fact that I am somewhat mixed race. People always ask me, like, "Oh, your name is interesting. You look different." Like, not very different, but
Mm-hmm.
people would notice that they would always ask, like, "What's your background, ethnicity?" Which is interesting because Kazakhs can be anyone. They can be blondes with green eye, and they can be Middle Eastern looking. And so yeah, that I always had that in the back of my mind, that I
Mm-hmm.
myself not 100% Kazakh. Thus, like it's okay to be mixed race. It's okay to be of other ethnicity. Mm, yeah, and so I found out that people who also had similar upbringing, they were also the same way. They felt great about us starting to date. My friend that who was there that very night when we met, she was nothing but supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started hearing very interesting comments from certain friends who didn't have same background
Mm-hmm.
as I am or upbringing, and they were saying like some very interesting things, as like they would never take like you and me dating serious. They were
Mm-hmm.
always like, "Oh, she's just hanging out with this exotic guy."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "No, like I am actually interested in him." And so yeah, like I think the fact that people didn't take us seriously as like, "Oh, he's like hanging out with this local exotic girl, and she's like dating this exotic foreigner that will just pack up and leave in a couple of weeks."
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the case for us.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, we were very serious about each other. The things they were saying, the questions they were asking, I just thought, like, wow, people actually think this way. That is the climate within like Kazakhstan, and including my friends, which, and funny enough that all those people, after 10 years, for different reasons, we just drifted apart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't have fights or anything. We just had, like, I don't know, different life, I guess, different interests. But
Mm-hmm.
those people who were very supportive of us, we're still friends. We're still hanging out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my experience. Mm, My my family, though, I have to say this about my family. Um, how proud I am of my family, of my grandparents, of my aunties and uncles,
Mm-hmm.
of my cousins. Like, I am just so proud and grateful. The My grandma was asking me about, who's your new boyfriend. I heard that you have a boyfriend. Show me his picture. And I showed her your picture, and she was like, "Oh my God, he's so handsome."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Wow, that is different Casa grandma." Then you came over to like meet the family. That was right before we got engaged. My grandma like pulled me to the side and said like, "Oh, in life he's even better looking." And like everybody was just so impressed by you and your education and how, I guess, like people could just see that you're a good person, and that's what mattered the most. All my aunties, of course, said like, "Oh my God, he's so cute." And my cousins, I believe they were nothing but open and friendly. So that part, family part, was very difficult because I know a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Kazakh girls, they really struggle with like families. Friends are supportive, but their family members, like
Mm-hmm.
the horror that I listened to. Luckily, I was I was blessed not to go through all those hardships.
Mm-hmm.
But I was um, I was very passionate about equality, diversity. I I don't think I would have um, I don't think I would have been affected by any even negative comments if it would come from my family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from my end, I think it was a little bit different because we met in Kazakhstan. So I was living in Kazakhstan with a bunch of expats. So certainly in the beginning, I didn't have to really deal with those dynamics because my family wasn't there, and like I was just with friends and international community, so they were all mixed anyway. They were all from different countries, so like
You
uh,
had some local friends, yeah,
yeah, I had some local
but they
friends.
were very westernized or Americanized.
Yeah, and my coworkers who were Kazakh were very westernized,
Yeah, but
and
you would ask them questions like, "Oh, about
yeah,
engagement," and they would like really help
they
you
all
with this.
strongly encouraged me to marry someone from Kazakhstan.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
sweet.
so I think that's what made it, at least from my end, really easy.
Mm.
Like for at least when we were dating up until like as we got closer to the marriage, because I didn't have to really deal with anything of that degree. In terms of comments, I have this. I never noted or noticed anything, to be honest, and I always felt like people were very supportive of us, even your friends, at least to my face. But um, I did notice, like just in general, and not specifically with us, like if there was a foreign guy with a Kazakh girl, there was certainly like someone could look down on that, or some of the guys could get like a little annoyed by that. But overall, it was like in certain areas, and those areas like I don't really go to.
Mhm.
And the more downtown you were, the less that was like an issue.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, overall, like I had like it's in Kazakhstan at least, I had no real issue. And I think I also have this ability to just like zone out. So like even if someone was looking at me or making a, I just would never have paid attention to it because I like lived in my own bubble.
A good skill.
Yeah, and yeah. So and I think that probably helps just living in your own bubble because now we're in our own bubble, and there's just none of that stuff from before really matters.
Yeah.
But I think
Well, even before me, you kind of had to live in certain countries and like be in
zone
your
out.
own bubble. Yeah,
Yeah,
you kind of had that system already.
I kind of had that system already. But I think then when we came to the U.S. To meet my family, or for you to meet my family and my relatives and stuff like that, that's when kind of the dynamics really just like exploded, to say the least. And let me just transition to like intercultural. So like interracial, it's like different ethnicities, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's race and then there's ethnicity,
What's the
right?
difference between race and
Or
ethnicity?
like there is a race and then there is a culture. Like
Yeah.
you can be of the same race, like I'm
Hmm.
Asian race, like so are Chinese, Japanese,
Hmm.
Indonesians,
Yeah.
but we have very different cultures.
Yeah.
Like we inherited a lot from like Russia, for example, or like Soviet Union or Slavics. Like I
Hmm.
can more relate to their culture.
Yeah.
It can more relate to like I don't know someone from Bulgaria than
Hmm.
someone from like China, for example.
Yeah.
Although we are same race,
Hmm.
I did not know that until I left Kazakhstan. When people started referring to me as
Oh yeah.
like Korean girl or Chinese girl, I'm I like
Have
I am
nothing in
Asian,
common.
but like I don't know what are you talking about. People would be like, "Oh, you Chinese?" Like I'm like I don't know what does it mean. And then I enjoy the stereotype. I'm not gonna lie, because luckily in US Asians have really good stereotype. Like they're
I think so.
smart, they are book smart, they're good at math, you
Hmm.
know. And I was like, okay, that's not the worst one. So within like
How are your math skills?
terrible, terrible. um,
Just kidding.
and then no, it is terrible. I even mentioned to you that I was gonna buy a book for Math for Dummies and like go through some of the pages.
Please don't buy that book.
And
We'll
then
teach you the way.
also, I also didn't know. I had to learn that about myself. It's like, oh, people actually like, think of when in my culture we think of like ethnicities.
Hmm.
Like Chinese is one ethnicity,
Yeah.
Korean, like French is one ethnicity, Italians have one ethnicity. We don't put like white people all in the same category.
Hmm.
Like I would never mistake if I know people. Like I would never call a French person an American, or
Yeah.
I never call Russian in I don't know Swedish
Hmm.
because it's the same race, but it's different cultures, different ethnicities. Same with your background.
Well, no, I was going to say, really quick
Mm-hmm.
aside. I think I understood that, like, for just so I'm African American in the United States. I'm considered
Mm-hmm.
African American, but in different countries, I'm considered and perceived as different things, similar to
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm African American. In the US, my race is black. My culture is African American.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also like people from Africa who are now American citizens who are also counted as African American, but they're
Yeah.
from totally different cultures. And
Yeah.
then there's also many different countries and cultures in Africa. And those
Yeah, and they
individuals
are
who
different from each
they're all
other.
different from one another.
Mm-hmm.
And then even within African Americans, there's like African Americans from like the Northeast, from the South. Then you've
Mm-hmm.
got your Caribbean African American or like
Yeah.
Afro descendants, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
who have like emigrated to the
Mm-hmm.
U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and who are all lumped into this category of like African Americans, even though all of us are actually very different. But then I'm also mixed race. So I'm
Yeah.
only like 50% African American technically, and then the other 50% is Indian
Mm-hmm.
American. When we were in South Africa, when we were living in South Africa previously, for those 2.5 years, when we were living there, I thought all white South Africans were just white South Africans. But then, like
Mm-hmm.
when we had some friends over for this like house
Huge difference.
gathering,
Yeah.
it was like Afrikaans and English were both, in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
white South Africans. I understood like they didn't really talk to each other the whole time because they're from totally different cultures. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
there was like a wall between them,
Mm-hmm.
and I understood
Cultural.
that like
Yeah.
yeah, there's like that's my perception is like these are all white people, but even like they are from two very different cultures
Yeah.
that don't necessarily interact on a routine basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting how like perception of you changed, and same with me. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we were in Indonesia, remember there was a Indian gentleman. He went to the bathroom and he came up to me. He was like, "Is he Indian?" I made a bet with my friend that he's
Oh
Indian.
yeah.
I'm like, "How do you know?" For me, like I just thought everybody think of you as African American. He was like, "You kidding me? He's just Indian, and
So
he won beer."
we lived in Indonesia for 4.5 years, and then
Yeah,
after that, we lived in Florida, and then we lived in South Africa for like 2.5 years.
yeah.
Okay.
And then in South Africa, some of my Zulu friends and Swati and from Zim,
Yeah.
they didn't even think of you as a black person. They thought of
Yeah.
you as you are Arab.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, this is Arab person from overseas." I'm like, "No, he is like, of course you're from overseas, but you are not Arab."
Yeah.
Then in Caribbean, like
Yeah.
in Jamaica, when we lived in Jamaica,
Mhm.
you were perceived as
Light skinned Jamaican.
light skin
Yeah.
Jamaican.
And I think that this is what we're trying to get at. This is the lie. The lie
Yeah.
is that there's a difference. Because I think being mixed race, me being mixed race, and also you being like, I know you're not as mixed, but you're still mixed to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a different country, people see you as something different. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you grew up in the US as
Mm-hmm.
Asian or as African American, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you go overseas and you live there for a long time, you realize, and people don't even perceive you as that.
Mm-hmm.
So like as you're saying, like in Indonesia, I was some people saw me as Indian, some people saw me as Arab,
Yeah,
and so
Arab
a
like
bunch of
Saudi.
Saudis, a bunch
Yeah,
of Saudis would
Saudis used to
come.
come up to
These
you.
Saudi
Yeah,
kids would come talk to me in
yeah,
Arabic. I was like, I have no idea what you're saying.
yeah. That's
In South Africa, I'm either the mixed race or Arab,
mm-hmm.
and then in Jamaica, I'm a light skinned Jamaican,
Yeah,
potentially um,
Indian. Yeah.
Indian. And like when you live there long enough, and people will treat you according to your category,
Mm-hmm.
and then you realize like, okay, none of this, like it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
It's so arbitrary. Like, and I grew up largely like in African American communities in the U.S. and like with that kind of understanding that okay, people will treat me this way because I'm African American. But then you go overseas, and then people think you're something totally different, and they'll treat you a totally different way. And then I realized like this is just like race has no meaning.
Yeah.
It is a made up. These are made up categories,
Yeah.
totally made up. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the one of the things I appreciate living overseas is just like I'm just Elijah,
Yeah.
and I like, and even like coming back to the U.S. or overseas, I understand that like I'm just who I am,
Yeah.
and I think that's and same with you. Like I initially categorize you as like Asian,
Mm-hmm.
but then like we were in many different places. In some places, you were not considered Asian. You were considered like of that country.
Yeah.
That was not even in Asia.
Yeah.
So like you were in. I'm just gonna say in South Africa, people thought you were Afrikaans, which is
Yeah.
white South African.
Yeah. Not English.
Yeah,
I heard like Greek few times.
Greek,
Um,
Eastern European.
Eastern
Yeah.
European. I heard but mostly Afrikaans.
I just want to share this because like people don't know. So we actually were former U.S. diplomats, and we were contractors before. So we met in Kazakhstan 2.5 years, then Indonesia 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Florida when our son was born during COVID for about a year and a half. Then after that, we were in South Africa for 2.5 years, and then Jamaica for 1 year, and now we're in Mexico. So it's a lot of traveling. But I think the point is this, and I think this is one of the benefits of all that traveling. Also, being someone of mixed race who can like blend in. Nobody knows exactly who you are, where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's totally meaningless. Where we're all equal. So like in Christianity, it's essentially like we are all like we're all one in Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're not Christian, then what's your basis? And I get that point. But I'm saying like just having spent that time overseas, it's just become, and this is probably through like the lens of Christianity as well. That's true. But it's just quite clear to me that these are just like totally made up things. All
Yeah.
of these categories, they have zero meaning. It's like totally meaningless.
Yeah. I also can actually say that in my church there were a lot of couples who would like get
Hmm.
married of different backgrounds, and it
Yeah.
was normalized. Like it was absolutely normal for like Russians and Koreans to get married, Kazakhs and Koreans, Kazakhs and Russians.
Hmm.
Like
There
I
was that
think,
one Kazakh Colombian couple.
yeah,
Remember that?
Kazakh Colombian couple from our church. Like it
Hmm.
just did not matter. And
Yeah.
also because Kazakhstan is like a more Muslim country,
Hmm.
Muslim and um yeah, it's more what is that word I'm looking for?
Or
Secular.
oh,
So
secular. Yeah.
also Kazakhstan is Muslim. Kazakhs are Muslim, but Kazakhstan is a secular country.
Hmm.
And but at the time when I was Christian living in Kazakhstan,
Hmm.
our branch, Christian branch, was not legal.
Hmm.
So we were labeled as secta,
As
which
a
is
sect.
just a sect,
Yeah.
yeah. And we had to go through a lot of persecution and our pastors, and there was so little people at church. They were like started shedding. There's like churches were smaller,
Hmm.
and then boys in the church were like even less, like 3 or 4 times less at church. So you kind of like have to, yeah, like you don't get to be like too picky of like, oh, eye color, a background, as long as person loves God and you you have respect for one another.
Hmm.
So yeah, also like our church encouraged this kind of marriages and behavior. um what else?
Yeah. No, I think that that's the kind of interracial piece, and I would say just like then following up. So I think that what's the basis? So the basis, and so I said like I even question like definitely if you're Christian, race is meaningless
Mm-hmm.
because we're all one in Christ. And
Mm-hmm.
but even if you're not Christian, it's still meaningless because
Mm-hmm.
all these categories are made up
Yeah.
by depending on whatever country you're in. Somebody came up with a new category,
Mm-hmm.
and now instead of African American, you're Arab or
Mm-hmm.
like of Arab descent,
Mm-hmm.
and or you're from a mixed race descent, or you're from a light skin in Jamaica. All these different ones, and yeah, it just doesn't mean anything whatsoever. Like people are people, and people are equal. You're going to be talking to your spouse. You're never going to think of it. Period. The time you will think about it is when people from the outside make you think about it. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like as you were saying, like people in the community, when you're walking down the street, if they look at you funny, or could be family members or not family members, could be friends who make comments. And so when we went to the U.S. to visit my family, well, some family members were supportive, some of them were not.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think, yeah, like I think you got a lot of heat because of not being of African American or some African descent, to be honest. And for me, that was mind blowing because my family is mixed. So like I couldn't understand why that's where this is even coming from. But you got a lot of heat for that, and yeah, it just didn't make sense for me. But we're all mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is mixed. Cousins, they're like half Asian. I mean, me and my sisters, for example, were Indian, and one of my sisters at least were Indian and African American. My mom married an Indian person. Then
Mm-hmm.
my uncles, they're all married to like Asians, Filipino, Japanese. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was like very shocking. I thought this like our relationship would be very easily received, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, just given the context. But I think living
And most
overseas,
of them are foreigners, right?
yeah,
It's not like Asian from America. They're from
they're
other
from foreigners
countries,
from other countries. Yeah,
Philippines and Japan
yeah. And
and
my dad was also Asian from
Asian
another country.
from, yeah.
So it's like
Some
very,
Caribbean, right?
yeah,
Some
in the Caribbean
Caribbean.
people. So for me, it was shocking, but I feel like you did have a hard time, like because of this dynamic of race. And it's like, again, not something that we were thinking about really for 2 years. Like, if it's just us, we never think about it. But it's like other people who come into your relationship and try and make you think about it
Yeah.
and try and cause that division. Um, and I think that was my point about like walking away. Those are kind of things that you have to like maintain the safety of our. We were dating then, but now we're married. We got married shortly after that to
Mm-hmm.
maintain the safety of our marriage. And this kind of like we never think about it is like we have to have people on board who also are not going to think about it.
Yeah.
So like if this is the priority, which we made the decision, like this is the priority, right? We're
Mhm.
getting married, we're Christian, we're one in Christ, and we're bringing this kind of this relationship is being blessed by the Lord. We're bringing this relationship to Him. Okay, so then if people don't agree with it, or if they have an opinion about it, and if they can't let it go,
Mhm.
then we might have to walk away from those types of relationships if this is the priority, right? And I think
Mhm.
probably like people are caught like, okay, is that the priority for other people, or are those like our relatives and or close friends? Is that the priority? And so you have to make that decision. I think like who do you want to please, pretty much.
Mhm.
You want to please the people who, some of them, and I can understand why, some are really close. If it's relatives, they're close, you want to make sure they like bless everything, right? Or if they're friends, you've been friends for a long time, you want to please them. Or like if it's something that you have felt like the Lord is blessed, do you want to like do something that's going to like, that you're going to, that's blessed and you can enjoy for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like,
Yeah.
why would you have to walk away potentially?
Yeah.
Because it might be the case. Because I remember when you and me were getting married, the
Mm-hmm.
priest asked us,
Yeah.
would you say that this marriage is from God?
Mm.
And you have to say
Did
it
he say
like,
that? I don't
yeah, yeah.
remember.
I
Oh, really?
remember. I was like, wow, this is so profound. And
Yeah.
it's on your wedding day.
Yeah.
And he asked, would you say that this is a person from God that was sent to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely felt like this is my mission in life.
Mm-hmm.
As a young girl, as a young person, I felt like this definitely from God. This is the answer of my prayer, and I'll be blessed. And like Bible says that me and my household will serve the Lord.
Yeah.
And I really took like this as a mission,
Mm-hmm.
and so did you.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't think like, oh, it's just a random person, okay, I can change. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to really know why are you doing this,
Yeah.
because there might be a moment when you have to like remember like, okay, well, why am I doing this? But
Oh, you will be tested. That's for sure.
I
Yeah.
believe there are people who didn't do that,
Maybe.
but I don't know one mixed race couple who didn't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah. I
And if
think
they are, I really would like to know like, what countries are they from? What families are they from?
leave your comments below in the comment
I would
section.
really want to know. And like anyone who like had same struggles with us, like why did you decided to go for it?
Me
Yeah,
too.
the intercultural thing.
That is a big thing.
You are a lot of things. You're like Caribbean and Indian, but the bottom line, you were still a person of West. You were Westerner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my dad said when he heard that that
Westerners.
I'm dating you. He's like, Westerner. They do not get married. They do not build marriages. They
Mm-hmm.
date for 10 years and they don't marry. That was my Russian accent. Um, in case someone didn't understand. But living together, I remember I realized like, oh my God, I am in so much trouble when you said like, oh, I grew up with like strong African American mother who like had 3 kids and 3 jobs, like,
I think she
and
had
I
actually 3 jobs, 2 or 3. I mean, she worked.
well,
She
yeah,
had to
to
do a lot.
feed
Yeah.
the 3 children, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And very grateful for that. We're all appreciative. And
yeah,
she did a really great job. Let me say
yeah,
that.
it is
Yeah.
amazing, but I was not of that culture.
Yeah.
I am more, yes, we have a lot of Russian influence. It is very, yeah, we have a lot of Russian, but culturally, I would say we're more Muslim slash Asian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Chinese are different from Koreans, Chinese are different from Kazakhstan, and but there's still something common.
Yeah.
Mm, so I would say it's more like Asian slash Muslim culture.
Mm-hmm.
I was recently even telling you like how women are below men, and you like
In the society,
in the
you mean?
society,
Yeah.
yeah, like you get to raise it like knowing your place. Like women sit, there's a like special seating arrangements at the table. The top is
In
the
Kazakh
the
culture?
yeah, in Kazakh
Oh,
culture.
okay.
There's the head of the clan, aka grandpa, then
Mm-hmm.
his son, then his grandkids that are boys, right? The son-in-laws sit, and then by the door, close to the kitchen, women sit.
Is that? But that's not in your family though. But that's in the
It
traditional.
is, it is. Of
Really?
course, it's tradition. We
Oh,
honor
really?
our traditions.
Oh, okay. But I feel like your grandmom and then like
Yeah, grandma get to sit
your
now with.
aunts and stuff sit kind of
Yeah, but
seemingly.
now they are a little more senior.
Okay,
Now they have
I understand.
daughters-in-law,
Yeah, I understand. So the
and it's a
daughters-in-laws
status.
then towards the
Yeah,
end.
but they still get to do that.
Okay.
And I was sharing with you a few days ago
Mm-hmm.
as like even like giving it's a culture of toast, like what giving a speech like before you do the chin chin.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Maybe explain a little more because that's a really specific Kazakhstan thing.
it's like congratulating someone with a birthday and like giving speech and like
Every
wishing,
person does it.
yeah,
Does it wrong?
sharing like
Yeah.
wisdom, wishes, and the whole centerpiece of like the whole gathering is like this talking. Yeah, so there's also like the most respected people to the least respected.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with, of course, men. With my grandpa would be speaking grandma because she's, older. We respect older people.
Mm-hmm.
And then would like all my uncles would go, aunts. Then my cousins would go. Like two of them are older than me. Then my brother, who's 5 years younger than me. Then my cousin, who's 10 years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
and then another cousin who's 15 years younger than me would be given a way to give a speech, the toast. And
Yeah.
then I would be the last one to give speech as like because I'm a girl and like I would go last.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like your place.
Mm-hmm.
This is like it's like nobody actually says that come up to you like some people do, but nobody
Mm-hmm.
said that in my face. It's like, oh, your woman know your place, but it's embedded in the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
women are for men. Like even growing up with like sibling, if there's a boy and a girl in a family, there's always favor to the boy. Like Kazakhs even have famous saying as like, girls are just a guest in your house.
Mm-hmm.
You are raising a girl for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So they are raising like a good daughter-in-law to go somewhere and like serve pretty much to another family.
Mm-hmm.
She'll have to cook and clean and be obedient. Like it's like kind of give their classes. And because I've been Christian and my identity was like I am good enough, I am daughter of God, I am
Mm-hmm.
equal to like
To
all
men.
people are
Yeah.
equal, men
Yeah.
and women are equal, um, people, races, and countries are equal. Uh, Rich and poor are equal, right? And in some cases, like God talks about Lazarus and some rich men he doesn't know. So yeah, I had identity growing up, but it was still there.
Yeah. I
So
understand.
I just even like a few days ago we got a compliment. It's like, oh, you guys are such a great couple. You just don't have competition in like in your family between each other. I was like, what does he mean? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of competition? It's like after 10 years being married to you, like I still don't know what that is.
Thankfully, I don't think we really had to deal with that. But
Mm.
one thing I want to say from my end, just like the culture thing, I think it's something that like it's an iterative dying to process that we probably haven't even fully died to be honest. But like to be together and be married, um, I feel like we've gone through many waves of like just dying to different elements of our culture. For
Mm.
example, when we first started dating, as I told you, you just said so. Like I grew up with strong, independent African American women in my household,
Mhm.
and so I was like, okay, now you have to be you who you just explained your Asian Kazakh culture
Yeah.
have to be a strong, independent uh, woman, pretty much. You need to do this.
But
You need to
how?
do
I
that.
grew up with
Right.
dad. I grew up with mom who was stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. And I
I
think,
didn't know that hardship. I never saw like how hard it could have been.
yeah. And I think that was like, when we first, I don't know, when we were dating, I don't think I really had that degree of expectation. But definitely when we got married, I was like, okay, now you must become this. And I
I
think,
remember you even told me like you're not in Kazakhstan anymore. Although we were in Indonesia, so we were still not in
technically true. We were
America.
not, no, I'm just kidding. But I think also that was like a me,
Indonesia also has that culture
they
similar to
do.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah, and I think for me that was also a dying to self. They're dying to self and dying to culture moment because I was raised by like black women
Hmm.
entirely. Only
Hmm.
guy in like a family full
And
of
the
black
head of
women.
your
Yeah.
clan was grandma.
Yeah. Oh,
In my culture, it was grandpa.
just so people know, very grateful for my father. My father is wonderful, but I didn't grow up with
Hmm.
my father. My father, I didn't, unfortunately, like due to circumstances, situations, we only connected when I was like much older. So I grew up with my mom, and like with a lot of ladies, pretty much a lot of African American ladies, or Caribbean. Technically, we're from the Caribbean as well. But I think when we got married, this was like one of the things that I had to. It was I couldn't understand what you were talking about, like at all. I didn't understand at all. It wasn't like I was trying to be difficult. I literally did not understand like anything like what you were about. And I think this was like for me, this is where like the Bible is really helpful. Um, because like if I can just be honest, like or just recall things, you would say things such as I'm here like to make and build, pretty much like make and build a family. Like for me, career is okay, but the priority is our family.
Hmm.
I've never heard or seen because my mother was in survival mode, and most of the like unfortunately like a lot of the ladies in the community where I grew up, they're kind of like um, running to make money, and like that concept of them, the concept of like we already had enough money, right? Like I
Hmm.
had a job, we were living overseas already, we had enough money, and you couldn't in Indonesia where we were living for 4.5 years, you couldn't really work anyway. So
Hmm.
just so people know, we were dating in Kazakhstan, then we got married, then we moved to Indonesia,
Hmm.
4.5 years, and so you couldn't really even work there. So for me, it was like I had one picture of what it's supposed to be, but then that didn't match with like I was raised with one picture because of a situation, right? Like we didn't have money, enough
Hmm.
money, so my mom had to work to make money.
Hmm.
And so like for me I had this idea of like okay, women have to work to make money.
Hmm.
But then I already had enough money. We were making enough money through my job that like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it actually like and you couldn't even do it in Indonesia. That's the
Hmm.
thing. Like legally they did not allow you to work there. So
Yeah.
like I think it took me like a year or two to actually like let that go,
Yeah.
just to be honest. And I feel like it was not easy for you for sure because I had this like expectation, like, oh no, you have to do this. But why?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I did wanted to work because I
yeah,
was young. I was like 28, 29. I
hmm,
still wanted to do something just at least for fun, I was
yeah,
ready to do some volunteering job, just so something can go into my CV. But I when you and me were dating, I had to turn out one of the job offers, so it like
hmm,
required me to go to another country. And I remember turning that down because I really, like I said, I really believed that you and me were like from God, that it would be just stupid to like just throw all of that away just for
hmm,
like making more money and living abroad.
yeah. And I
And
think,
I stayed and like I took some crappy jobs and
oh, I remember those jobs, and
and
yeah,
yeah, and then not too crappy, but it was nothing to what I was offered back in Dubai. And um yeah, and I remember I said that to you that I'm more family oriented person. I've done that. It's like it's nice, but I would always choose family. If there will be a question between career or family, I would always choose family.
Yeah.
And when actually my ward came to test, when we came to Indonesia,
Yeah.
a lot of ladies couldn't work, and it's really difficult for your mental health. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you have this full life and career and something going on for yourself, and then you just sit at home,
Yeah.
it was really, really difficult. Especially like that's another conversation, but like living in another country, like
Mm-hmm.
settling in, not having friends and family,
It's not easy.
it was really difficult.
Let me just hone in on one thing. So, this element of what you said, I just want to get to this because this is like getting to the crux of this part of the conversation. Um, okay, when you said that uh, you would prioritize family over career, right?
Hmm.
And my expectation, just because based on what I've seen, like you should like there was an expectation that you have to make the career happen, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I've seen growing up in like a household full of ladies, pretty much,
Hmm.
without with a lot of kind of uh, people who are not married or in divorced or
Hmm.
things like that. So from my lens, it was like, okay, this is the expectation.
Hmm.
But I think that the point is this: for intercultural relationships,
Hmm.
um, maybe, not maybe, definitely, um, there are things that while you might not understand it, and it's like a cultural way essentially, there's actually very good things that can come out of an intercultural relationship, such as understanding such as these. And I think this type of like eventually like I became open to this, right? But it wasn't right away. But the eventual openness to this, like it's okay and actually a good thing. And actually probably like it is biblical, likely to some degree, of like prioritizing your family and taking care of your family
Hmm.
is good, right?
Well, same
Even the
for you,
fact,
right? You're
yeah,
not choosing your career. You're doing that for us.
yeah, but even the fact of you moving to Indonesia in the first place, which is not
Hmm.
an easy place, to Jakarta at least, it's not an easy place to adapt to as a foreigner. It
Hmm.
requires a lot of effort. It's not easy just to pick up and go. I think that the point is uh, there are like gems by having an intercultural relationship, especially rooted in Christ. There are good things that come out of different cultures. And the question is like, okay, so are we willing to be open to receive some of those things, even if
Hmm.
it's different from the way that we've been raised?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, going
Yeah.
back to that, like, this is, I feel like a lot of our fights were coming in. You were like
Yeah.
demanding these things while we were in Jakarta.
So let me explain really
But
quick.
no, no,
The
no.
first no 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 the first year we were married, it was difficult because we were running into a lot of these um like cultural clashes pretty much.
Mhm.
Like literally it was like the first 365 days. And after that it wasn't
We
anymore.
still
But
had good times.
yeah,
Still
yeah, yeah,
had
we still had
good
good times,
days and
but
bad
I'm
days.
just saying we had like
But a lot of our fights were you were demanding all these things, but my
mhm,
I felt like it was unfair to me because I turned my job down that I really was waiting for like a whole year. I was waiting for that job
mhm,
offer in Dubai, and I was like, I could have been there right now, and now I have to like find job in like Jakarta. That was like really difficult place. Plus, I have to like now do all these chores, and yeah, that was like a lot of yeah, like if I would prioritize my career as you were like demanding first year,
mhm,
I wouldn't have been there at the first place. I wouldn't
mhm,
have probably married you at the first place. I
yeah,
probably would have left you just when our relationship started. And what a pity it would have been. I
yeah,
have no regrets. Like, yeah, I wish as a young girl probably like I did go abroad and like have been young expat.
mhm,
But from everything I saw, like being expat is not always what you think it is.
yeah.
But I have no regrets today. And yeah, like I really enjoy your culture now. Respect for a woman. Oh, I am so enjoying that. Being equal to a man.
Let me just say two things. I want to get to that,
Mhm.
but I want to just say this: the fruit of this decision, or it's not even a decision. This is just kind of, if I can say, like the way you were raised
Mhm.
of your culture. which I believe is biblical, is like your lens was like, okay, I'm going to support this family.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the fruit of that now.
Mm-hmm.
12 years later. We have
Oh.
a great relationship. We fought the first year, then we had many years of no fighting. We just like literally for like the 3 years after that, we had no fights. Maybe one in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. And we had such a great, and I think that now we've been together for 12 years, married for 10 years. Now we're experiencing the fruit of this,
Mm-hmm.
of those decisions in those times.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other thing you said after that? I wanted to say that. Oh yeah, and so like my culture, because I was raised with all women. Here's yes, I did initially have this like oh you gotta like you gotta do this, but then I think the other side of that is that
Is it
fitna
fitna?
fitna work, but I think the other side is that of that is that I do not see women as any less than men whatsoever. Not even an ounce of that. A lot of my supervisors have been women, like 90%, 75% probably of my supervisors have been women, black, white, like doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Different countries, African, Asian, American, continents. And I just never had that. And I think this is probably the result of growing up in a household of strong, independent women. I never
Mm-hmm.
have seen women as anything but equal to men. And so when I see you, that's the other edge of that side of that coin. I see you as equal. I
Mm.
never see you as
I
less
love
than me.
that. I
Yeah.
love it. Like it
And it's
practically
biblical.
practically how it looks like. If I am sick
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not in the mood, like
Mm-hmm.
I cannot make dinner
Yeah.
and you will step up and you will like whip up something and that's okay. Like you're not judging me, you're not
So
like
explain
complaining.
explain what would happen if like
You would just make a dinner.
no, but explain like but you would expect the
Oh, like
expectation would
yeah,
be that you would have to still make it right or
or
something
you
like
would
that.
still have to, yeah, you
Yeah.
will still have to do all these things. Doesn't matter how sick you are.
Mm-hmm.
Forget it. This is your responsibility. It's your job.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's very generalized,
Yeah.
and nowadays there are a lot of modern family, just like we are, and
Mm-hmm.
the husbands. Some like my brother enjoys more cooking, and he's the one who cooks at home. But like
Yeah.
the general culture of the time when you and me got married, the like seeing the stuff that I've seen, it was still more traditional.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's it's not like what people of my culture how like what they say to a woman, but how they talk to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And like living in the Western countries, you like it's different. Like how people approach me, how they look at me, it's very different and I really enjoy that in
I don't.
our marriage, like raising our son.
Yeah.
I really enjoy now the fact that you're from Western culture.
Because I wonder in some parts of the West if people do in fact have that mentality, but I think specifically in my case because it's all like mostly all women family.
And how was it like, did you feel any difference, like the way we communicate or like the way I talk to you and like how you like what you saw growing up?
I guess it was.
What's the like cultural differences dynamic between men and women?
I didn't see anyone communicate really with. I saw some communications with men, like with my uncles, but like my different relatives didn't get along, so they were typically not nice communications. But because I didn't grow up with my dad, I didn't really see any. So I
Mm.
had no reference point on what they
Oh.
should be like. But I did note that like you treated me with a very high degree of respect, and
Mm.
that I greatly appreciated.
Oh, you deserve respect.
Ziva.
You deserve all respect. But yeah, culturally, I could
Mm-hmm.
see, I see what you're saying
Yeah.
because we have respect for men. It's
Yeah.
the way you talk. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of like worship them, I guess. No, jokes aside, yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
we do have respect for men.
Then just getting to the Bible, and I think this is where you come. We're coming like as we're growing in our maturity with the Lord and in our relationship. I believe our relationship. has been able to flourish, number one, by God's grace
Mm-hmm.
alone and His Word, and like letting go of different elements of our culture. So, like for example, Bible says like God created man, like man in His own image, male and female, He created them essentially. So like this
Mm-hmm.
concept of like men and women equal, it is biblical, and this is one
Brand
of,
new concept.
not brand new, but this is one of the things I think we've allowed to like, this is part of the culture that we hung on to
Yeah,
because it is biblical.
yeah.
And then the parts about like um, man will leave his like father and mother's home and become one with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely did this by,
Yeah,
we both
my
left our
culture does
homes.
not have that.
Yeah,
My culture does not have that. If I may explain,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
even Christians, they struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
But my culture do not have that because it's more of Old Testament.
Yeah.
When Bible says that husband will leave, right, his mother and will join his wife, uh, a lot of like Westerners from our church, like Slavics, they have a little different culture from Kazakh and like Muslim background. They would see it as like, yes, it says about man, but it doesn't say about woman.
Mm-hmm.
In our understanding, it doesn't mention woman because woman already belongs to someone else's family. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even a question to be discussed.
Yeah, and I
So
think.
this is like Kazakhstan, like it's more Old Testament than
Mm-hmm.
like I don't even know examples of New Testament.
But I think about like in the Old Testament with Abraham when he had to leave his father's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like he was just, that's why I really feel like in many ways we're kind of like Abraham, like and Sarah. We just left. Well, not in that way, but you know what I mean. Like in
Yeah.
terms of like having to leave your father and mother's home,
Mm-hmm.
we have certainly had to leave our father and mother's home. The situations, and I do believe it was like God's directing our union, led to us both leaving our parents essentially and like becoming one in another in a third country.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one cultural thing. Like we both,
Mm-hmm.
many cultural things I think we've had to lay down and continue to lay down based on what the Bible says. And as a result, I do believe like we flourish.
Mm-hmm.
We might not see it right away. It's like a few years later usually we see
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, respecting man. Like you can have bad days, but I
Mm-hmm.
still hang on to that one.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
yeah,
It's like men and women both deserve respect. But there's like you being a husband, there's like still a line.
yeah.
Like dating is one thing, being friends is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but you and me being husband, like there's a line of respect that you do not cross that line.
Mm-hmm.
You can be as like uh crappy, cranky and crampy as much as you want, but there is a line. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain things like you cannot do, you cannot say, and do I make sense?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Do I cross that line?
No, I don't. I don't know what that line is, but you know what it is, and
Yeah.
I I think you don't cross it. So
Yeah, so there's like a
that
thought,
switch,
the switch is like, should I go that side or
yeah.
should I
You see
back
your
up?
dad's hear your dad's voice like.
No, not if it's like
Okay.
something like, you know, just a feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need to like a little back off a little bit
Yeah.
and like to say sorry, I was wrong is a big one for both of us, of course.
Yeah.
But like yeah, again, out of respect, because I would feel bad that I wasn't respectful
Hmm.
after like a fight when we were younger, for example, like coming to you and saying like, I'm very sorry, I was wrong, I will try my best, like I can promise be perfect,
Hmm.
but I will try my best to do this and that, like appreciating what you do. It's, like daily things that you do, the way
Hmm.
that like the great father that you are for our son, the
That's really
great
good.
husband that you are, how sensitive, how supportive you are. And this is what I always say about our relationship. People usually say like, oh, is it 50-50? Is it one when one is falling, another one is supporting. I feel like in our marriage, you are like always on like 70, if not more, like
Mhm.
minimum 70. I feel like you are much more physically stronger. Like I would be tired and you would like put Raphael, our son, to sleep, for example.
Mhm.
You, if I'm like physically exhausted from doing same activities, you would like have strength to like get up and go buy milk, and you have no like pride being like, oh, why do I have to always do that?
I think this is also another biblical thing. This goes to like how like our marriage is supposed to be like Christ and the church. And then
Mm-hmm.
Christ says, "Husbands, lay your lives down for your wife. There's no greater love than this." Something like that, right?
Oh.
And my point of saying that is
Mm.
that um, no matter what you think, like I give 100% with no expectation to you for you to give any percent,
Yeah.
because like then you can never not meet my expectation,
Yeah.
and that just makes it easier, and then we just enjoy our life.
Yeah.
And I literally have no expectation of you giving even like I know it sounds bad, but even giving 1%, and that's not because of you. That's just because biblically that's what it says.
Mm.
Lay life down in my mind means you give 100%, and you have no expectation of anything, because
Mm.
Christ laid his life down for the church. He had no expectation that the church that people would give him anything, and they didn't at the time, right? He was killed and
Mm-hmm.
they in a horrible way. But I think there is something there, and it just makes it easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give 50, great. If you give 30, doesn't matter. If you give 70 one day or a week or a month, okay. If you give 10, doesn't matter. And I think that actually makes it way better because you don't have any expectations. So like it's fine, and you're doing it like I'm doing it, like of course to bless you and our son and Raphael, but I'm doing it because that's what Jesus said, and I'm honoring the Lord when I do it. But anyway, that's another topic. I think we should close because it's late.
No, I also wanted to
Oh
say
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
my 100% is not your 100%.
True. Yeah.
Like your like my 100% is to be here. My 100% is like making sacrifices that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and but I feel like physically doing something, maybe that's why like some um some of your family members think that I'm not strong independent woman. Like physically my 100% is not yours. Like I cannot carry the same amount of weight. I can like I need longer hours, like few more maybe hours to recover, and you wake up earlier than me, and so did my dad.
Mm-hmm.
You like you have much more energy physically, and I'm like sometimes just amazed like how you can just keep going. Like I'm three, like you can go like for another 3 hours when I'm just like done for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope you always feel like how appreciative I am.
I do.
Like I appreciate you, I respect you. I feel like I just go along with like any of your plans. I
Me
try
too.
to, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to me.
Now we're in Mexico. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
I think that's the part that I had to put down to God,
yeah.
because when I was not married, one of the ladies at my church, that she was one of the elders, she said, still do it, even if it doesn't make sense, because your life is in God's hands,
Mm-hmm.
not your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he
Mm.
will make mistake, God will not fail you.
Oh wow.
Of
So
course, if you like
there's a degree of
push
faith
me,
with this.
yes,
Yeah.
there's a faith that like, God, I trust you. Do whatever he says, at least you don't get to blame for mistakes.
Yeah.
There's element of faith, but then there's also like element of like, not that I don't want to be responsible for that, but I just want to do the best of what you think is best, because I trust your judge, because I didn't marry an idiot. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you were an idiot, I wouldn't even be interested at the first place. I married someone who has more life experience, although we're same age, but you traveled the world, you speak languages, you were in situation where you had to figure out some. I was very sheltered. I lived with my parents all my life, throughout college, after college, going to the office. I wasn't like exposed to a lot of these things. I also grew up with dad who would like run and like help me and like solve my problems, and I wasn't like, I didn't have to
Mhm.
figure out these things. So what was the point I'm making?
You had to lay down desires to like do things out of the flow of our family.
Yeah, I
Does that
do
make sense?
appreciate you
And there was a
always.
degree of faith essentially you had to
Mhm.
have to do that, even if we made the wrong decision or if I made a wrong decision or something.
Yeah, so there's element like you always ask me what do I think,
Hmm.
and I usually agree. Like if you say something, I agree. I think it's the best decision because you make research, right? Like I said, you're not an idiot to just jump into something. And but if we disagree on something, I let you make the decision
Hmm.
because I don't want to get blamed for that one. Second, like if it's financial decision, you have financial education and background. I trust you more than I trust myself. If it's, I don't know, with like raising kids, we would just try, and if it doesn't work, like you are also capable of thinking like, okay, this didn't work, maybe we can try something else. Like you're also open minded. I never feel trapped.
Hmm.
But if there is a slight disagreement or different views, I would let you make the decision, but I would feel better about that. I would
Hmm.
feel like I'm being obedient to the Lord because I believe that God is leading me. It's
Hmm.
not because God wants me to suffer
Yeah.
or like God wants me to like throw me under the bus, because I believe that God has goodness in that, some goodness that I will have to just have faith for that.
Yeah. But I think if I can just say, I think that comes out of like we have a loving relationship, right?
Hmm.
And I want the best for you and for us,
Hmm.
and not everyone has that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't have married you if you didn't have best interest.
Yeah.
If you're an idiot, like I wouldn't marry you. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even consider it. I wouldn't even let you any like closer than 100 yards. And
Yeah.
I made this choice consciously.
Right. Right.
Yes, it was from God. Yes, there was an element of faith, but also it was my choice. It was my conscious choice.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I know why I married you. I know that I can trust you. I know that we grow and learn together.
Hmm.
I know you have best interest. Like you proved yourself so many times. But you've always been this way,
Yeah.
even before we got married. You always prioritized my goodness. You always wanted the best for me. Nothing has changed 10 years later.
Yeah. Cakes. It's late. It is.
Yeah, just finish up naturally.
No, no.
You're ruining the moment.
But thank you so much. I want to give, if you want to share like one or two takeaways.
I think, but race just stupid. Like there's like it's just
The boy. Did I say that
yeah,
right?
the boy,
The boy.
the bio concepts, I guess.
Hmm.
It's like Pastor At from South Africa was saying. He said, look at each other. It's like black and white, right? Where they
Hmm.
came from, they all came from God.
Hmm.
Like we all came from God. Period. There's
Yeah.
nothing else to discuss.
Yeah.
Cultural, you'll have to leave your culture because Bible says so. Leave the culture that you're surrounded with
Hmm.
and just follow the Lord, get to know him together, um, create your own culture, hopefully biblical culture.
Hmm.
um, yeah, that's what I think we did.
We did.
And this is what we didn't know when we got married, and we
Did
ran
not know.
into so many disagreements and problems. And I think we didn't also had someone who were going through the same like us. We met later on people, but we didn't have any other examples of like people who did that and
No.
who were successfully married.
Yeah.
Only later on we started like meeting couples. Even like when we were dating in like traveling,
Hmm.
2000. what, 14, 15, like at the
No,
airports. Like we didn't see a lot of mixed race couples like us.
no.
But then something happened in like 2017. I remember 2015, 16, even 17, people would just like stare at us at the international airports, like,
Hmm.
I don't know, Amsterdam, like even Spain, right? And Asia. And but then in 2018, like we just, nobody looked at us at the airports and at the airports anymore. There was so many mixed race couples and mixed race kids, and we were like, "Whoa, where all these people came from?" I don't know what happened with the world, but that
Yeah,
was really pleasant change that we saw,
it
that
was.
we noticed. You?
Um, Agreed. Race meaningless. Biblically, it's meaningless. If you're
Mm-hmm.
Christian, don't even hold on to that. Just Dan Muller always says like die to that. Just gotta die to that thing. It's just meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
Culture. I think there are things in cultures that are not biblical and things that are biblical. Embrace the things that are biblical. Create space for that. Allow it to flourish. Things that are not biblical, die to that. And I think it's like the pruning. Those are things that like God has pruned out. Those things that are, you know how like in the Bible it says like Father God, like He prunes us, and the
Mm-hmm.
dead branches He'll toss out, but He'll prune kind of areas in our lives to make them grow and flourish. And so, like parts of culture that are not biblical, God through our marriage has pruned those out, and that
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are biblical, He has pruned. Maybe I said that wrong. Parts that are not biblical, He's thrown out, but the parts that are biblical, He's pruned, and then they're growing and flourishing now.
Mm-hmm. Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Mrs. Patel.
Oh, I'm so happy. So
All
happy
right,
we made it.
we made it.
So happy we're sitting here talking about it. Remember when we were like, one day we will laugh about it.
And today is that
So,
day. Adna.
mm,
Thank you for joining us. Milk and Honey with Riza and Elijah. We'll have more chats. Please join us next time.
bye.
Bye.